Hi, welcome. Hey, this is the Genessee County Compassion Club show. I'm Jeremy. I'm your host, and I'm glad to be here at All Points TV, rocking it out in the studios. Glad to be back. I got John behind the cam, making it happen here at All Points TV. I'm going to give a big shout out to the studio here for all the awesome podcasts that they do and allowing me to come on and blab. No, just kidding. But no, John does a great job here, and it's good to be back. We got some exciting things I want to share with you this week. Going to talk about medical marijuana. Going to talk about what's happening down at the Genessee County Compassion Club. Keep you informed as to the events and as to what's going on here in the country. A lot of you have probably been tied up listening to the presidential race and getting your fluid of news from that. I know there's also been a lot of news about the lead in the water and so on. And there hasn't been a whole lot of stuff about what's actually going on with medical marijuana here in Michigan. And so that's why we're here. We're going to keep you informed and keep you in tune. And so hopefully you can stay activated and involved. All right. First thing I want to mention, though, of course, is stuff that we've got going on at the Genessee County Compassion Club. It's always an awesome time down there. If you haven't been there in a while, please check it out. We'd love to have you. Of course, you need to have your medical marijuana card, i.e. either patient or caregiver, if you have not been a member before. But if you are a member, come on back if we haven't seen you in a while. We're going to have some fun events coming up. I'm going to be talking about that in just a minute. But before I do, I want to make mention of our soup kitchen. We always serve down at the North End Charities Soup Kitchen here in Flint off of Stewart, and we'll be doing that again at the end of this month. It's the last Friday in March. I'll whip up the calendar here for you folks. I always go by the weeks, but it's because I'm a farmer. 25th. So 25th is the last Friday in March. You guys want to show up down at the club, you can carpool over to the soup kitchen or just meet us over there. Like I said, it's over off of Stewart. If you're from the area in Flint, you'll know where that's at. But we're going to be serving there, serving in the afternoon, be serving up dinner, and we'd love to have your help. It's a regular thing that we do, and we want to say thank you to all the volunteers who showed up last month and made it happen. And thank you to everyone who continues to make that happen. You guys rock. Next event is our fun event. That's what I wanted to talk about. It's our 420 party. It'll be coming up, obviously, on April 20th, hence the 420. All right, and this is our big annual celebration. It's our anniversary, and it's also a celebration of freedom and a celebration for you, our members. So I want to make sure you mark your calendars. It is a Wednesday this year. We will be rocking it out all day long. We've got all of our regular 420 events planned out, getting planned, adding to. I know there's going to be food, entertainment, and fun. Specifically, I want to make mention of our annual twist-off contest. We've had some amazing entries previous years. I think right now the record time for the fastest joint rolling is somewhere in the 6-second neighborhood, which is incredibly fast if you think about it. 6 seconds, boom. But we're going to see if anybody can beat that this year. So we're looking for the fastest. We're going to have a few other contests, of course, to go along with that. We're going to, in addition to the rolling contest, or as we like to call it, the twist off, in addition to that, we're going to also have our flour and concentrate contest. We're going to be testing out to see who has the highest test results. And we're also going to be looking to see who's got simply the best concentrate and the best flours out there. So if you want to take a chance at entering that, see if you've got the best stuff out there, please take a shot at it and get your entries over to the lab so we can get those tested and entered in for you. I know there's a deadline on that prior to actual April 20th. I'm not sure when the deadline is, but you don't want to wait till the day of the party to enter in your entry. All right, just a heads up there. But if you haven't been to our 420 party before, you certainly missed out. I encourage you to come down this year and check it out. For all of those of you that have been there before, you know what a great time it is and how we like to roll out the carpet for you. We're going to do the same thing this year. We're looking forward to it. It doesn't matter what the weather is. We never know. April 20th is one of those days where it might be snow, might be 70 degrees. Who knows? But we always make sure that we have fun, and it's hot inside, so it's good there, and that's all that counts, right? All right, that's it for the events. I want to make sure I mention those. Like I said, get down to the Genessee County Compassion Club if you haven't been down there recently. We've got the Holistic Center going on right now. You can get a farmer's fresh market served farmer's market sandwich. Had trouble spitting that one out because I was just thinking about the food. It's so delicious. But yeah, we do have our Holistic Center next door. You can also go over there on Tuesdays, get your back cracked by Dr. Shelter, who's a licensed registered chiropractic technician, chiropractor, doctor, one of those guys. but he'll make you feel better, that's for sure. You get over there on Tuesdays, you can get that done, or get yourself one of those nice tasty smoothies. It's a great way to enjoy your spring day. Get some fresh fruit, vegetables in you, feeling good, get re-energized, vitalized, get out of that winter funk, break off the fog. It's that time of year. Spring is here. It's 55 degrees today. Who knows what it'll be tomorrow, but at any rate, it's starting to warm up out there, and that's a beautiful thing. I know a lot of you have been getting ready, itching to get out of the winter caves, shed the layers, and see some sunshine, and myself included. So we'll look forward to doing that. And 420 party is just a great way to break in spring. Also, tax season's over, so you're done with that headache. You can move on, right? Make sure you file taxes this year. That's one thing that we don't talk about, and I'm going to move on. Next subject here. Just a brief little tangent. For those of you out there that are in this business, we talk about the medical marijuana business industry. You guys right now are leaders in this. You are innovators, you're entrepreneurs, but you are also business owners. It's very important that you do the responsible representative thing and make sure you file taxes on said business. Okay, you can't have a legitimate business if you're not paying taxes on it, and you want to make sure that you've done so. If you haven't taken the proper steps yet, it's never too late to start. Go see an accountant. It doesn't cost money usually to just talk to an accountant, but they can at least set you in the right direction. Make sure you're talking to a licensed accountant, not your Uncle Fred, who used to do books for his cousin Louie. You want to go see a real deal accountant, sit down with them, be honest with them, let them know what it is you're doing. The idea about this is to be responsible, and being responsible is doing things legitimate, having things recorded properly, and unfortunately paying taxes. So you can count on paying taxes just like you can count on death, right? There's just no getting away from it. So make sure you do the right thing and get that done. You still got over a month to get that done. So don't miss out on your opportunity to be a representative of this industry, right? We can't sit here and talk about how we got to protect all these jobs if nobody actually has any legitimate job. Right? Doesn't make sense. So let's make sure you're doing that. All right, I'll get off the soapbox. Moving on here. There are some things going on here in Michigan that you definitely need to know about. Legislatively speaking is what I'm referring to. There's a couple different bills that have been proposed in this new legislative section with regard to marijuana here in Michigan. The first one I want to talk about, and I know it's a little bit off topic, but it does have a sort of ancillary effect on marijuana. Right now, I'm sure most of you are aware that there are different campaigns going around Michigan to legalize marijuana for adult use. The reason I'm mentioning it is because there's a whole lot of medical patients out there right now that are still being put through a prosecutorial process. I mean, they are being viewed as lawbreakers, and so until there's protection for everyone, there's not really real protection for patients, unfortunately. So I think having adult use being legalized is definitely going to be a good thing for those of us that are still using this for medicinal purposes. Anyways, that being said, there is a couple petitions right now to legalize marijuana for adult use. They have a lot of work to do. They still need to gather signatures. They're still looking to gather monies to further their campaigns. But it seems that our Michigan legislature has deemed that they need to throw in a stumbling block to the efforts that these signature gatherers are putting in. And I'm talking about MI Legalize. They're one of the groups out there that have put forth a petition. They've done a pretty decent job of collecting signatures so far, but it seems that they feel they need to use modern technology, which, who would think of using something like that, to actually tally up their votes, to collect their signatures, and to submit their signed paperwork to the state for to get it on the ballot. So at any rate, there's a process you got to go through. It's extensive, obviously. These signatures have to be validated and so forth. All of that is very time consuming. And there's an attorney behind this movement of MI Legalize. His name's Jeffrey Hank, and he has been pushing for the state board of canvassers, who kind of regulates this petition gathering process. And he's been pressing them to use modern technology for that process so that we can have accurate determinations of the gathering of signatures, so that we can have an accurate account for the gathering of them, and so on and so forth. So we're not asking for a change in the law per se, just simply asking to implement modern technology is what's being done into the process, which you would think the state would naturally do that. So The current law, or one of those ones that governs part of the petitioning process, I looked this up earlier, is like from 1959. Let me double check my source here, see if I can find that. Oh yeah, I got it right here. Sorry. Wrong tool. Michigan election law, right here, amended back in 99, and then, let's see where it was written here. All right, 99, not 59, my bad. 99, still obviously pretty old, doesn't have to be that old, but the thing is, the process is obviously day-to-day change. We've got modern technology coming out constantly. When you go to the ballot and cast your vote, that process is different than it was 20 years ago, obviously. So you would think that we could update other processes within the state, such as gathering petitions or signatures for petitions. That's all that's being asked to be done. And I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but you have to understand the backdrop behind what's happening here is that there's currently a campaign in Michigan to get something done. They're gathering signatures, they're gathering money to get more signatures, and they're simply asking for modern technology to be used in this process. Well, our state legislature feels threatened by the fact that our citizens, just us, can go ahead and implement laws, and they want to restrict the process for gathering signatures when it comes to petitions. So this isn't just about marijuana or medical marijuana for that. It's about changing laws and how we go about doing that. It's about how we have a process in this state currently afforded to us by our state's constitution that says, hey, if you want to change a law, you can go out and gather enough signatures to have it submitted as a vote on a ballot. And then the population can come together and vote yes or no on whether or not they want to see that change occur. So in order to go through that, you have to go through this process. We should be able to use modern technology to get that done. You can imagine, if you've got how many different counties in Michigan, and each county's got its own board that has to review its own list of signatures on a ballot to verify that they're there, to verify that those people live where they said they live. This is an extremely cumbersome, lengthy process that should certainly be sped up in the sake of just simply, being economic. Being conservative with your money. Being fiscally responsible. Come on, it's just ridiculous. Anyways, there's a bill that's been proposed. It's Senate Bill number 776. And the change that's being put forth in this bill really is kind of minimal, but obviously it's being put forth in a direct retaliation to this signature gathering process that I'm talking about. And folks, we need to have an ability as citizens to approach our government, to redress things when the government isn't doing it themselves. So if the guys that we put in charge to make laws aren't making the laws that we want, we have an ability to go back as citizens and gather enough support as individuals to say, hey, we would want this law to happen. We want the rest of the state to actually vote on whether or not it should be law. That's what we're asking for. And that process is vital to our overall process of democracy here in this state and in this country. And right now there's an attempt to thwart that process. I looked up the change that's being proposed on this. If you look it up, I'd encourage you to. It's at michiganlegislature.gov. Type in the bill search line number 776, and you can read it for yourself and see that the changes that are being asked to be made on this current process, on this bill, are minimal. It's almost as if you set forth the bill in front of your English teacher and said, could you update this for me for 20 years of modern English? And that's basically what's being done. The reason it's being submitted is to bring up the issue that we need to have a tightened down process, that we need to limit the citizens' ability and the scope of their ability to change our laws. And our legislature should not be attacking the citizens' ability to change our laws. That's not what their job is to do. Their job is to go make those laws so that we don't have to do this. And unfortunately, that's what's happening. There's multiple issues that our politicians just don't want to touch, issues that are too hot to handle, too concerned about what their lobbyists may say. We need to be able to change our country's laws when our legislature won't do it for us. And we certainly shouldn't be trying to cut back our ability to do that. And that's what this bill does. So the other thing that's interesting about this is that this bill was presented on February 10th of 2016. Mind you, it has already gone through the Senate committee and passed, and it is now already up for review in the House committee. So it seems that this particular bill, which is really amounting down to a correction in English, literally there's about 10 words that are being changed in this bill. Look it up, read it. It's so important to them that they're fast tracking it right through their own Congress, right here in Michigan. That's what they're concerned about. When we've got crisis, when we've got cities in emergency, states of emergency going on right now, your legislature is concerned about making sure that you can't change your laws that easily. We need to get involved, folks, because this kind of thing here it's mind-blowing. Like, really? That's what you're working on up there? That's what we're paying our senators to go after? And this particular senator that proposed this represents part of Genesee County. So I'd encourage you to check that out. Another bill I want to talk about on today's program, and I know I'm limited on time here, but this is another bill I think that's very important, and I want to point it out so you have a chance to review it and think about it for a little bit. Senate Bill 813 is proposed by a senator out of the Detroit area by the name of Coleman Young. He is proposing a bill that would establish a regulatory framework for recreational adult use marijuana. Okay? He's proposed this, and it's interesting. I guess my question is he's proposing it with a cost attached. So we've got right now, petitions to get it legalized, 2 or 3 different ways. We've got a couple different bills out there that talk about, legalization. This one here is the freshest of them, Senate Bill 813. And again, it's saying here, this senator from Detroit is proposing, he's saying, hey, adults should be able to use marijuana. We should regulate a framework for it so an industry can be established here in Michigan. And then he is also attaching, get this, a real hefty cost, a real hefty price tag. And I guess my question would be, is this price too high? I think it is. I think the senator's a little high. And this is what the price boils down to. He says that for every ounce produced by these growers that he would establish, $50 per ounce would be the tax. In addition to that, he would charge $15 per ounce tax on leaves. So he's got the plant broken down between what is flowers and what is leaves, and he's saying for all the flowers that is produced for the legal recreational market, we should charge a $50 tax per ounce and a $15 tax per ounce when it comes to the leaf stuff. So he's also even got dates here. He's gone so far as to say that the growers can pay the tax to the state once a month on the 15th of each month. So, I mean, I find it appalling.
Yeah, it's free. As long as you can pay us for it, we'll give you the right to do it.
Yeah,
that's what it goes back to.
The government is not in business to self-propagate. It's there because we put it there. It's there because we as taxpayers pay for it to be there. And it is never going to be a revenue-producing entity. It's not meant to be. And stuff like this doesn't cost anybody anything except the people. And so we need to look very carefully about proposed legislation that says, oh yeah, you can go ahead and do this, but with a price tag. We need to take a real good look at that type of legislation, whether it be for marijuana or whether it be for fracking or whether it be for who knows what. When they say, no, you can't do this, and then all of a sudden they go, yeah, you know what, you can do this, but you've got to give us this much. We need to take a look at that kind of legislation. There's something wrong with it. All right, I'm going to move on here. That's Senate Bill 813. Look that one up yourself at the same place, michiganlegislature.gov. It's very simple. You can do it right from Google. I'd encourage you to do so. I want to mention a couple other things here on the show today, I think, that are very important. First of all, there's been a number of raids going on across Michigan, unfortunately. There were raids conducted yesterday in Allegan County, 2 different places in the city of Saugatuck, one in Allegan City and one outside in a city called Pullman. This is in addition to the raids that were conducted previously this week in Otsego and Oscoda counties. 12 different dispensaries were raided up in the northern area of Michigan. 9 were in Gaylord, 1 was in Vanderbilt, and 2 were in the adjacent county there, which is Oscoda. These raids both had comments on them from the officers that were conducting the raids. The raids were conducted mainly by Michigan State Police and the respective drug task force of their areas. I think one was called WeMet and the other one is the similar type of team for the Northern Michigan area. Apologize, I don't have the name of them. However, the comments given in the papers by the officers were that these dispensaries or provisioning centers or whatever you want to call them were basically being arrested, prosecuted, having property seized, so on and so forth, because of violations to the operations in regards to the medical marijuana law. Both had statements in the paper citing that they were either, i.e., selling marijuana-laced products such as brownies, and these are their comments, not mine, and also were selling to patients that were not assigned to them through Michigan's caregiver registry program. So, i.e., they were caregivers, they were providing to patients, however, these patients were not their assigned patients. So, the violations that were cited, these are the ones that were given. And I think that I want to point this out today because I think it's important that we have to understand what's going on here. Some of the rhetoric that is being placed in the paper, such as calling these people illegal and the activities that they were taking place, also calling them illegal, is not always exactly the facts. We need to take a deeper, closer look at this. And I want to remind folks of something in our law that a lot of people get confused about. And there has certainly been a lot of confusion about this particular section of the law. And it has been manipulated time and time again in court. And it's also been manipulated outside of the courts. But part of the law provides for a defense. I mean, when we in Michigan voted for the medical marijuana law, even the common voter knew that the core of this program was to provide a legal protection for people who needed it, and that there would be a process for them to follow. Once it was completed, they would be applicable to be regulated by this new program, and that they would have a legal protection provided so that they could use the product. And that's what we voted for. It's very simple. And we've continued to let our courts and the systems convolute this into some type of quasi-protection that really only counts when somebody decides it should count, which it should not be nearly as arbitrary as that. And I want to point out to you the section of the law that seems to be continued to get pushed under the table and forgotten about, and it's section number 8. If you go back to the law that we passed, the actual language, before it got strewn across the courts, and look at the actual verbiage here, this is what it says, and I want to read this to you. Section 8 provides for a defense for persons who do and who do not have a card. If after a evidentiary hearing a defendant can satisfy the court the following 3 things, their case must be dismissed. Number 1, a bona fide patient-physician relationship. Number 2, person was not in possession of more marijuana than was reasonably necessary to treat the condition. And number 3, the person was engaged in the use of marijuana for the purpose of treating that debilitating condition. Notice what it does not say. It doesn't say if you were giving your patient marijuana that was put into a brownie, your protection doesn't count. There's nowhere in Section 8 that says that. It says if after a hearing the defendant can prove that they had an actual relationship with a doctor, that they had the right amount of marijuana that was according to what was reasonably necessary to treat the condition, not the 2.5 ounces, not less, not more, what was necessary to treat the condition. If they had that in the possession, and number 3, if they were using it to treat the condition, then their case must be dismissed. That is a very general, very wide protection that was given in this law specifically to provide that protection for the people that were doing it for this purpose. It is a very simple protection that was put there so that not only could we understand it, but everybody else could too. And unfortunately, the people who don't understand it are the ones that keep making up more laws and more rules and more hoops for patients and caregivers to jump through. This is a section that is still viably defendable in court. It is not an easy thing to get through. It's not something that an attorney is going to tell you to, oh yeah, go ahead and just believe that you're protected because of Section 8. This is a very dangerous water to be in. You do not want to go to court and try to use Section 8 because it gets torn apart. We've had instances where judges have said, hey, you didn't really figure out what the proper dosage was, so how do you know if you were giving the amount that was reasonably necessary, even when the dose was less than 2.5 ounces, which is provided for in Section 4? So this is a very tricky thing, but the purpose of this was to provide a very general protection. And so I find it very interesting that our state resources are still being used to convolute the purpose of this law, which was to provide an overall general protection for the people that were participating in the program. Folks, there have been more cost and more arrests based around marijuana since this law passed than before it passed. You think about that. All right? I leave you with that this week. I'd remind you to watch your P's and Q's. I feel very sorry for the folks that were a part of these raids, and I hope that their families can make it through, and I hope that justice gets served in the end, one way or another. I don't know these cases individually. I can't speak for them. But when those are the types of comments that we read about in the paper, and these people were just basically trying to treat their conditions, which is what we said that they should be able to do back in 2008, I think we should let things be and let things lie. And we need to move on. We've got other issues here to face, right? All right, that's what I have for you this week. Thanks for joining me here at the Genesee County Compassion Club show and at allpointstv.com. Make sure you check out all their podcasts for all the news and current information going on right here in Flint and in this beautiful state of Michigan. Get out and enjoy the weather, folks. Have a great week, and I hope to see you back here at allpointstv.com. Thanks a lot.